Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to walk you through 4 exercises to improve the mobility, strength and resilience of your spine. Firstly, if you follow me on social media, you know I'm not a great fan or a big fan in general of isometric training for the trunk. Now, I have nothing against isometric training to start with, but if we're looking at trying to build a resilient, robust, mobile spine for life and combat sport, it's going to take a whole heap more than doing isometric training for your trunk. Now, the reason why I think isometric training may be beneficial for some people is if they're in the early stages of rehab and they're experiencing severe back pain where they're very limited with movement in general. Other than that, if you really want to exceed and build a strong, resilient, robust spine, you're going to have to train it through length. So we need to understand the movement planes of the spine. Firstly, we need to understand the movement planes of a spine. The 4 exercises I will be taking you through today are going to target flexion, lateral flexion, extension, and rotation of the trunk. So the first exercise we're working on is trunk flexion. A lot of people demonize trunk flexion. This is a very safe starting point for anyone who's new to actually bending their spine. And the beauty of this exercise, we have a band here that's obviously pulling us in the opposite direction of flexion, which means that we're going to get a good contraction through the midline. And the main points of performance when you do this exercise, you don't want to band too thick. You can also use a cable if you have one. What you want to do is punch your arms down, keeping your arms locked out and keeping your hands pointing towards the floor. You want to soft bend in the knees. You want to flex the neck, and then you want to think about depressing the rib cage and reaching towards the floor, rounding everything out, contracting your abs, and trying to bring those hands to the floor. You're going to come back up into extension and repeat that process for 15 to 20 reps. Now, what you want to avoid when you do this exercise is don't think about hinging like you're trying to do a perfect deadlift. The whole point is to train the spine to flex. And we want to think about, imagine like when you knock over a set of dominoes, where you start from one end and everything just starts to trickle down and each domino falls over as the next one hits the other one. It's the same thing when you flex your spine. You want to start from a top-down approach. You want to bring your chin to your chest, you want to roll your shoulders forward, and you want everything else to come along for the ride to make a nice big round position of your spine, flexing your abs, and then coming back up into extension. So moving on to exercise number 2, we're now working on trunk extension. You're going to find that this exercise, you're going to feel an amazing stretch through the whole anterior chain. Now, to initiate this exercise, we want to start with good hip extension here. We want to feel the glutes on. All I want to do is look up. So I'm trying to extend everything here. My head's going to lead the way towards the bench. I'm going to move back into extension, touching my head to the bench, and then coming back up into my starting position. Now, you'll find this exercise is going to feel quite challenging on the knees. If you do have limitations with your knees and obviously your spine and extension, you could do this against the wall and you can perhaps put a roller at the back on top of your calves to shorten the range of motion. I would personally recommend doing no more than 6 to 8 reps on this exercise at a very slow and controlled tempo. Don't move too fast into it. Obviously, this is going to be quite challenging for you to do if you're new to this exercise. So exercise number 3, we're moving into a side bend where we're training lateral flexion of the trunk. All you're going to need is a bench to start this exercise. We're going to set up in a side plank position with our feet up on the bench, feet together. I want to make sure that my shoulder is stacked over my elbow here. And as I go down into this position, or when I actually initiate the exercise, I'm actually expanding the ribs on one side. So from here, I'm moving into obviously lateral flexion. I'm getting a lot of expansion through the ribs here. I want to make sure that I just sink down nice and low, leading my hips to the floor. As I come up, I'm going to exhale and think about obviously creating compression and shortening this side of the rib cage, and then moving back down into expansion. I would repeat probably 8 to 10 reps per side when you do this exercise, And main points of performance here when you do this is you definitely don't want to twist and rotate as you're coming down. You want to make sure that you're really leading with your hips and relaxing that lateral hip, so you're trying to get it to the floor and create as much length as you can through your obliques and QL. Last exercise of today, we're taking the trunk through rotation. If you follow me on social media, you would have seen me demonstrate this exercise a heap of times on my stories and just social media posts. It's a supine rotation. The beauty of this exercise, the rotation is coming from the lower half. All you need is roughly around a 10 kilo dumbbell to act as a counterbalance, and we're going to be moving the legs obviously across the body in the transverse plane, where we're using the weight of your legs to drive the rotation through the trunk. So the setup position is fairly simple. What you're going to need is a 10 kilo dumbbell. So I'm going to press it up in my left arm. If I'm pressing the dumbbell up in my left arm, I'm going to bring my legs up. I want to get some good hip flexion here. I want to keep my legs as straight as possible. Some people will struggle with this position and they can't straighten their legs. Just keep your knees bent. Now you're going to bring your hand out and you're going to post it to the side. As you come down into rotation, I'm only doing this exercise towards the right if I'm holding it in my left arm. So I'm going to bring my legs down, touch the floor, trying to keep the shoulder pinned back to the floor. And I'm going to just have a couple breaths down here where I just relax into this stretch. Then I'm going to come back up into my starting position, and then I'll start to rep it out for 8 to 10 reps per side. You want to make sure that you repeat this on both sides, performing 8 to 10 reps per side. What you will notice when you do this exercise is you definitely will feel tighter on one side more than the other. That's perfectly normal. We're not symmetrical human beings. We got organs on different sides of the body. We've got leg length discrepancies, and obviously compensation through life and sport. Okay, that brings us to the end of our spine series today. Just a quick recap. We went through flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and rotation of the trunk. Now, I wouldn't recommend you do all 4 exercises in one training session. I'd recommend you pick 1 or 2 and you spread them out through the week as part of your accessories in your strength and conditioning program. Now, if you guys need help with actually integrating this into your training, this is what we do at Combat Sports Performance and with our one-to-one online coaching clients. So if you want more information about working with me directly online or with my online Combat Sports Performance team, feel free to check out the links below.